for allowing us to congregate here on the day of Jummah in the days which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned are the best days in the entire year, the first 10 days of Dhul Hajj. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, due to the blessed days, bestow His mercy and infinite blessings and His rahmah upon the entire ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. You know, these 10 days that we've entered upon, there are many things that could be said, but I want to emphasize on just a few points. And the main thing which we take lightly, yet this could be the reason for our a'mals to be rejected. And what is this thing that I'd like to talk about is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that in your entire body there's one piece. If this is dirty or filthy or not up to scratch, the entire body is in the same state. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was referring to the heart. If the heart is clean, the whole body will be clean as well. And one thing we tend to forget is we need to be conscious of the state of our heart at all times. Because previously I mentioned this Sahih Hadith, where once Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sitting with his companions, may Allah be pleased with all of them. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that the next person to walk into Masjid al-Nabawi, he's a man of Jannah. And companions observed that the man who walked in. And then the second day Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned the same thing again, that the first man to walk in is a man of Jannah. And on the second day, the companions, may Allah be pleased with them, they observed the same man walked in. And this continued for 3 days. So one of the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, he was intrigued. He said, I want to see what amal is this person doing, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is giving him the glad tidings, giving him the bushara that he is a man of Jannah. What is he doing? And the only thing he found upon investigating, going and becoming his guest and spending time with him, the only thing he found, and the man himself who was given the bushara of Jannah, he said, I don't do anything extraordinary. The only thing I can think of I do is before I retire to bed, before I go to bed at night, I make sure that my heart is clean for everyone. If someone has wronged me, I forgive them. If I have wronged someone, I seek Allah's forgiveness. And I have a clean heart, I have no malice, no filth against anyone in my heart before I go to bed. So he's a man of Jannah just because he has a clean heart. So this is something that I'd like to emphasize on today, is we are in the best 10 days of the year. And we should be exerting ourselves, our efforts, in order to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whether it's through azkar, whether it's through sadaqat, whether it's through qiyam at night, whether it's through fasting, all of these things we tend to do, which concerns us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we tend to forget the other thing, which is half of our deen, is how we are with the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We will be questioned regarding the creation. As we all know from childhood, is if I wrong Allah's rights, if I violate the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I can turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and seek His forgiveness, and He subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive me. But if I wrong the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what did Allah say? Allah says, till they don't forgive you, I will not forgive you. So yet we tend to forget this, which is the core, the factor which will determine, your fate. You don't know what will happen to you. You don't know that you might pass all your tests on Yawmul Qiyamah. You might go through all the stages, inshallah. And then just when you're about to approach the gates of Jannah, this creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you and me have wronged, they will be waiting at the gates of Jannah. And on that day, there will be no injustice. There is injustice now. There is oppression. There is, this evil going on. But on Yawmul Qiyamah, the Akhirah is about the truth. There is no falsehood. And it's all adl, it's all justice there. Allah is the most just. What will happen when you about to enter the gates of Jannah and you have these claimants there? You'll have the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala standing there. They will question Allah on a day where there will be no injustice. They will say, Allah, how are you allowing him to enter Jannah when he has wronged me? Whether it be by, taking his rights, whether it's by using harsh language, harming him physically, anything. These people will be standing there at the gates of Jannah, and they will ask Allah, they will question Allah, Allah, how are you letting him enter Jannah when he has wronged me? I want my rights, Allah. I want justice to be served, Allah. Allah will say, yes, you are right. Whatever wrong he has done to you, go take it from his a'mal, take it from his book of deeds. And Rasulullah ﷺ swore. He took an oath. He said, I swear by the one whose hand my soul is in. When the person will come to claim his wrong or his rights from you, he will not leave behind anything. He will take everything. And even then, if the score is not settled, he will offload his sins on you. What will you do? You've been through all that hard, one day equivalent to 50,000 years. You've had your deeds weighed with your tongue in your heart in your mouth. You don't know what's going to happen to you. You've crossed the bridge. You've saved yourself from falling into the fire. Long bridge, thinner than a hair, sharper than a blade. You're just approaching the gates of Jannah. And what happens? Everything is ruined. Why? Because you took this lightly. You took this, you thought it's all about prayer, fast, charity. You thought it's all about this. You forgot that half of your deen is how you treat the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You forgot that. Why? Because your ego kicked in. You said, nah, I'm not going to go. Why shall I go? I'm bigger than him. I'm better than him. One of the attributes of shaitan. Iblis. What was it? I'm made from fire, he's made from clay. If you have this in you, you have an attribute of shaitan in you. This is not the teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Humble yourself. First I tell myself, humble yourself. Don't be of those who will be dejected on the day of judgment because you took this lightly. This son and mother not talking. Astaghfirullah. You must be looking at me like, what is Sheikh saying? Son and mother not talking, been years. Father and son not talking, been years. I'm aware of this. I can say this. These people, may Allah guide them. May Allah guide us. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in the pleasure of your parents. The easiest door for you to enter into Jannah, the easiest gate is the gate of your parents. How? A mother who bore you in her womb for 9 months was at the verge of death while she delivered you. Your father bent his back day and night and worked for you, provided for you. And today when you've grown up, when you should be their support, you should be their hope, what do? You cut ties off with them. Rasulullah ﷺ said that the one who cuts the ties of kinship, the one who cuts the blood relations off, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not purify him on Yawm al-Qiyamah. He is of those who are despised on the Day of Judgment. You don't cut off family ties. Blood relations, no. Major sin in Islam. But then you may say, oh, they're really evil people. They do this, they do this. Obviously with parents, even if your parents are disbelievers, you still have to lower the wing of mercy to them. Even if your parents are kafirs, you still have to lower the wing of mercy to them. You speak kindly to them. You don't obey them in the disobedience of Allah, but you still have to show them kindness, even if they are kafirs. Yeah? But what about your relatives? Your close relatives. They've done harm to you. They've done evil to you. Don't cut off ties with them. Why? Hear this now. This is beautiful. You know, we all, our goal, our aim is to attain Jannah. And within Jannah, there are different stages, as you must be aware of. And then within the stages, there are other stages. For example, if I give you an analogy with what we go by in this dunya, if you go into a restaurant, for example, or a hotel even, you have a VIP section, very important person. Yeah? So this section is, they have their own servants, they have their, the own luxuries there. Then within the VIP, you have something else, which is above that. It's VVIP. Very, very important persons. Like this in Jannah, you have a stage like this. VVIPs only. Who are these? Now, if this doesn't give you an incentive, if this doesn't entice you, then I don't know what will. VVIP section, who is this for? Your family, your relatives, whoever they may be, they are harsh with you, they are evil with you, they are doing zulm on you, they are oppressing you, they are swearing, backbiting you, hurting you in every way possible. But you, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you still maintain the ties of kinship with them. You do not sever your blood relations with them. What will happen? You will be in this VVIP section in Jannah, inshallah. And remember, for those of you who have this pride and ego in us, we have this me in us, just remember, if you approach your relatives, your friends, whoever they may be, who you have broken out with, when you approach them to make amends, to resume the ties, remember, don't ever feel you are doing this for them. If you feel you're doing this for them, then your pride and your ego might get the better of you. Know and believe that you are not doing this for them. Who are you doing it for? You're doing it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That pride and ego will stay out of the way. I am asking you for forgiveness, or I'm asking you to resume the ties of kinship. Not for you. I am doing it because it's the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I am doing this in order to attain the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It will become easy. Because now your ego, your nafs can't say to you, oh, why are you lowering yourself? He's going to think you're in need of him. So many thoughts come to your mind. Shaitan plays with you. If you can do this, I am doing this for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I am doing this because it's the hukam, it's the command of Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It will become easy for you. You can do this. And next point, we give charity. Sadaqah is something Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that when a person will die, and if he is in a difficult situation, he will wish to be sent back to the earth again so that he can fix his deeds. And the only wish he will have is, allow me to go back so I can give sadaqah, so I can give charity. because the reward for charity is immense. It's huge. Now within charity, again, we have different types of charity. You have charity which is given openly. Why? To encourage others. And then you have charity which is given secretly, which is better if you understood. Within this charity, you have another stage. And that is, who do you give the charity to? The one most in need? Do you measure it by the distance? How? So you know there's a saying in English, they have a saying that charity begins at home. But in Islam, charity is with your near relatives. Begins with your near relatives. And it's not just, you give to them and it's better. No, there is another plus point. When I give charity to someone who I don't know, when I give charity to a stranger who's in need, immense reward, uncomparable rewards. But if I give charity to the one who's my near relative, who's in immense need, now I'm not just getting the reward of charity. I'm getting rewards of the ties of kinship as well. Double rewards. Double reward. So always, when thinking about giving charity, look at your near relatives first. They are more deserving of your charity than others. And then obviously you can go out. If you have relatives who are self-sufficient and are not in need, by all means you give out. And in these 10 days of Dhul Hajj, whatever deeds you do are most loved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as mentioned before, it will come down to your heart. It's not half of your deen, 50% of your deen is you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The other 50% is you and the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's how you treated them. Don't take that lightly, which is what most of us do. Why? Because our ego and our pride kicks in. You don't want to maintain the ties. He has said this to me, and then shaitan comes and instigates it, and the little spark becomes a big fire. Shaitan does this to you, and this anger and this pride and arrogance, this is an attribute of shaitan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, the meaning of which is, those who restrain their anger, control themselves when they anger, and forgive those who wrong them. Indeed, those are the doers of good, and Allah loves the doers of good. So forgiving and restraining the anger and foregoing for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those are the ones whom Allah loves. And it's not easy. I know it's not easy. But if you want to have great things, you got to do these things. If you want to have the VVIP section in Jannah, you got to do these things. It's our choice. It's a simple equation, not rocket science. If my brother and me have fallen out, he said harsh things to me and I can never forget. Months went on and it's still in my mind. Every time I'm doing anything that keeps his words up pounding my brain. We're humans. We have these emotions. We have these feelings. But who's the better one? I was going to say, do you know what? For the sake of Allah, I forgive him. And another misconception we have in our society at the moment. Now, if the month of Dhul Hajj has approached and I have not spoken to someone for a whole year, if I send them a text message, even if it's a template, even if it was a copied, pasted, I send someone a message that the days of Dhul Hajj have arrived. These are the best days in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Any deed done in these days are most loved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Oh my brother in Islam, I'm asking you to forgive me for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm asking you for forgiveness. Let's put the differences to the side. Let's move forward positively. If I send this template, a text message to my fellow brother, they turn around and say, oh, he just copy pasted this, he sent me, I don't accept it. He has to come to me. Remember one thing. The law of this dunya, what is it? If you want to buy a property, you want to do a contract with someone. What is the ultimate requirement? What do you have to do? You have to do what? You have to sign it. Written. If someone has written to you a text message, this is just as powerful as his words coming out. Take it. Don't let your pride and your arrogance get the better of you. If someone's just sent you a copy-pasted message asking you for forgiveness, copy-paste and send it back. Become friends for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And never, ever, never, ever dare do this. That if someone you're not talking to, he comes and he makes the move. He comes and he conveys his salam to you and you turn the other way. Don't you dare do that. Why? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said that if anyone from my ummah, my nation, comes to you and asks you for forgiveness, and if you don't forgive him, then on Yawmul Qiyamah, on the day of judgment, on the fountain of Kawthar, the pond from Jannah, where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will be giving to drink his thirsty ummatis. We will be thirsty. Once you drink from that water, you will never be thirsty again. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if you don't forgive the member of my ummah who seeks your forgiveness, on Yawmul Qiyamah, don't come to the pond of Kawthar. Don't come to the pond of Kawthar. Don't you dare do that. Put your pride and your ego to the side. And for the sake of Allah, remember, if you have pride and ego issues, remember you're not doing it for him or her. You're doing it for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It will make your job easier, inshallah. May Allah allow us to reap maximum rewards in these 10 days of Dhul Hajj. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all the Hajj of the Hujjaj that have gone on this once in a lifetime journey. May we be of those who can perform Hajj on a yearly basis together, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our du'as. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gather us all in Jannatul Firdaus, in the neighborhood of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Wa ma alayna illa al-balagh.